It was kind of weird because when I asked her even just for a threesome, it was like 3 years into our marriage, and the funniest thing she said to me was, "Why didn't you ask me sooner?"
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy! Monday! You knew that was going to happen.
But you interrupted me.
I know.
Welcome to episode 77. We're Finn and Emma. It is a Monday, as Finn said.
Just a regular old Monday.
Special episode release. But today we talk with O.M. Wills.
Yeah, he is an author. And actually, real quick disclaimer here. He is married. His wife just did not want to come on the show. He talks a little bit about why. Basically, she's pregnant, really tired, and told him to fuck off and leave her alone so she could sleep.
Yeah.
But she's very much into the whole thing. You'll hear their whole story. This one is, as we kind of mentioned at the end of last week, we've had people reaching out to us saying, hey, we'd love to hear stories of non-monogamy not working out for people. And this is not exactly that, but it is a case where they've been trying to get into the swinging lifestyle and really haven't had a really great reception. So it's kind of a neat story. It obviously hasn't worked out well for them, but they've been able to take and find pieces in there that have allowed them to, open their communication and really just finding that even having that piece, when they were able to tell each other what they truly wanted, they saw a pretty magnificent shift in their relationship without even having to do the swinging itself.
Right.
Give it a listen. And the book is called ERTA The Complete Series. We'll put links in the show notes.
Yes, there will be.
On our website, which is, I'll stop talking.
I'll
shut the fuck up and let you talk.
Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com. You can check out all the show notes there. A couple other really quick notes about this episode, though. There is some background noise throughout the episode. We apologize for that. It's there. Also, he mentions a website.
It just helps bring you into the atmosphere with us.
Oh, yeah. But O.M. Wills also mentions a website called ITL, and we explained this later on in the episode, but it's called Into the Lifestyle, which is a swinging website.
Yep.
Also, really quick, we don't have much of an opening into this interview, but the conversation was just flowing with him, and it kind of jumps right in. So.
Oh, yeah. We basically... When we get done rambling, it's just going to basically kick right into him talking. So when I get done rambling is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
You don't ramble.
I do sometimes. But anyway, a few other quick announcements not related to this episode. We will be at the August 10th Club Euphoria foam party. Woo woo.
Correct. That is correct.
Are you thinking?
I was calculating dates, and that is correct. We will be there this Saturday.
Yes, exactly. So
it took me a long time to figure that out. I'm going to leave that awkward silence in there.
I was like, "Are you chiming in?" Anyway, if you want to check out the party, go to the links on our website. Also, while you're on our website, there are some resources. Yes, Finn.
There are resources, I agree with you. Under the resources page, check them out. They're awesome things that one of the things that we wanted to mention here at the beginning of this one is, on Mondays we usually put out an author or some other resource-based interview, whether it's an author, a website, an app, something that is trying to provide somebody who is trying to provide a service or resources to people in the non-monogamy community. And so this is just another example of that. And we love sharing those resources. And some of the resources that we love to promote are right there in the resource page.
Yeah.
How'd I say? Did I ramble?
That was a little rambly, but the point is,
I hope you got the point.
if you want discounts on condoms or STD testing, or just general information that we have up there, please go check out our resources page, normalizingnonmonogamy.com or nnmpodcast.com. And now let's jump into the interview. Unless you have anything else.
No, it's gonna come in hot right now.
Okay, let's go.
A kind of an open book. Our story is not like it. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like our own little journey because like we ended up not making it on our like it with people, if that makes sense. Yeah, our story is kind of like internet and a lot of rejection, and then it morphed into like us just doing our own thing, kind of.
Okay.
So it's fair game to ask because that's the cool part about it, I guess.
And so you've kind of morphed into polyamory at this point, and you're still married, or?
Oh yeah, we're married. Like she's in first trimester, and then I work far away, so she's just like, you do your thing, talk about it, and let me sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Well, congratulations! Is this your first child?
Thank you. Yeah, first child, 9 weeks. She's 9 weeks. Yeah, so we're nervous. I shouldn't have told anybody, but I told everyone. I couldn't help it. So I've been like, you're in 9 weeks. Everyone's like, shut up. Just wait till she's done with first trimester. I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do because I told everyone.
Oh, wow.
Hey, at least you're excited about it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I work pretty far, so I guess it's just me. And actually, I know when I first wrote you guys, it was about the book. The funny thing about the book is that it actually came from that kind of dark place. Like it's a swinger story, and the swinger story is pretty much what we were looking for, if that makes sense. So like the characters Nate and Raya are pretty much that ideal characters that we were looking for when we first got into this, and that kind of never happened. So like when we were first trying, right, it started off kind of like how you guys were. It was like not really like dating other people. It was like casual, like you see somebody attractive, it's like, oh, you like that person, and it was like playing that cute hot or not thing, but it was getting more sexual or more like do you think she's cute or do you think he's handsome or something? And it was like, I wouldn't mind if that person came over, or when we were with our friends and it was like some of those dirty jokes and you're just like, damn, I actually wish they would not be shy and fuck in front of us. Kind of like, but it was like we were thinking it, but quietly. And then I was scared to tell her. She was scared to tell me. And then like you can feel this awkwardness. And one day it was just kind of like, hey, if this happened, what would you do? And then it kind of was like a threesome. And then it was like, let's try more. And then we met somebody. And then she was all about it. Like, I don't know, like Vancouver's one of those cities where everything is pretense, where it shows like one thing, but it's not that way. And I don't know if you guys deal with that a lot, where it's like you meet people and they say they're swingers or they say they're open to something, but then you get shunned. Does that happen to you guys?
I think that happens in all of the different swinging spheres, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of people that they think it's what they want, and then when they go to do it, it's not what they want, or they like the idea of it a lot and they like being in the environment. And so I don't know, I think it's a little bit of probably a couple of different things, but I think we've definitely come across people where they seem like that's why they're there, but then if you talk to them, they're really not that interested in talking to people, or maybe it's just they don't like talking to us. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that was something I was wondering too, but then it was just like really weird because like for us, like Vancouver's like, it's like that city that gets you all the way to one area and then it lets you down. So like Vancouver has Wreck Beach, which is a nude beach. So you think you could go there and make friends, but you really can't. Like you would think you meet somebody naked, you could go have coffee with them, but that never happens. And then you meet swingers online on ITL, and you think at the swingers club when you meet them they'd even talk to you nicely or something like that, but instead we met a lot of people that were really mean to us, and that was like really the turnoff. Like when we went to the club for the first time, we had been on ITL for like 6 months. And the way ITL works is if you're worried if you meet a bot. Like, I don't know if other swinger sites are like that, but you're scared you meet like a robot or a fake profile or somebody who's not real. So ITL has this thing where it's like, if you are verified, you get a little green thing. And that means the couple has met you. So when we first met somebody who told us about ITL, they never even bothered to click that they met us. So we were sitting there trying to talk to all these people. We were getting no replies and all this stuff. So we were like, you know what? We're getting a bunch of no replies. And then we tried to set up coffee dates for all the people who did reply. And then like, we were so new, we were like, I don't know about sleeping with anybody. Like, that's a big step but we knew we wanted to at least meet people and see what the hell is going on, right? Why do we want to meet another couple? And then when we were trying to do that, like, it was like, how do I say this? It was like they wouldn't show up because if we didn't say yes right away to like wife swap or something really hardline, they weren't going to meet us. And it was like, what the hell is this? So we were like, okay, let's go to the club and meet some of these people. And like, let's go meet the original people who brought us to this ITL in the first place. And when we get there, it was like, they went to another room. They didn't really talk to us. A bunch of people didn't really talk to us. And then the thing that, like, the nail in the coffin was, like, this one lady was like, oh, you were that couple that emailed my husband and I, and, oh, here you guys are. But she didn't reply to us. And my wife was like, I want to leave. And, like, that was, like, so we didn't really enjoy the club. Like, everyone was in the rooms and everything. And we were trying to enjoy it, but it kind of like that was like in our head, and then my wife wanted to leave. And when once we left, we kind of let it, like, didn't talk to any couples, didn't really do anything. And then it just became, if we meet a girlfriend or a friend, something would happen or something wouldn't happen or just something in between that. And we stopped really talking to couple. So then when I wrote the book, I wrote my perfect couple, pretty much, like how I would have wanted the couples to treat us if we were that way, like if we had continued. So it's kind of like, that was our story.
Okay. Yeah. So how about, I mean, it's fascinating. And and it's unfortunate that it didn't go quite like you were probably hoping it would.
But we're wanting to dig into that a little bit too. I think
you could dig into it if you want to. However you.
So what we'll probably do is we'll leave what we kind of talked about, and we'll kind of utilize that to like lead into where we go from here. Okay. And we can just kind of build on that. It's a little more natural that way.
Yeah.
Maybe going back really quick then to, it sounds like you kind of jumped into it and then it didn't go super well, but I guess going even back further, like you talked a little bit about how the two of you started exploring swinging or non-monogamy. And I guess, do you mind talking a little more about that? Like you said it was kind of meeting some other friends, but I guess how did those initial conversations between the two of you start? Because
Can I interrupt for 1 second before you answer that question? Can you give the listeners a little bit of an idea of who you are first, like maybe age range? And you said you're married, and your wife is not joining us tonight, but she is very involved in this whole thing.
Yeah. So I'm. How old am I? I'm 32. She's 2 years older than me. Yeah, I have to think. I was in the military, and we did a lot of long distance when we first started. So, and then it was like, it was a weird, the conversation, how did it begin? It was kind of weird because when I asked her even just for a threesome, it was like 3 years into our marriage. And the funniest thing she said to me was, why didn't you ask me sooner? And it shocked me. And I was like, what the hell? And she was like, I knew who you were. I know who you are. And I was just like, she was like, you're that freaky guy who wants to like have fun. And like, when you didn't say anything, I was actually worried. I thought you were going to cheat on me. And I was like, I would have wanted you just to ask me. But since you never asked me, I wasn't sure. And I was just like, but then why didn't you bring it up? She's like, that's not really my place. I'm okay either way. And I was like, what the hell? Like, so it shocked me that she knew me. And then like, what made me ask was like, I'm kind of ballsy. Like most of the time I'll hit like a threshold and then I'll just fucking say it. I'll just be like, you know what? This is what I feel. And I think it was, you ever play those dirty games?
Never.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shit like that. Oh my God, you play that and like you joke around, you fuck around, like, oh, like, is that serious? Or you do the fake spin the bottle shit, like you're a little like, oh, like any of those little games. I was always hinting and then seeing if she was gonna get mad.
Your
and
wife.
Then when my wife, and when she didn't really get mad, I was like, hey, what if this happened? And she was like, I'd be down. And then that kind of opened a door to like just looking around for it and seeing what our friends would say. But a lot of friends, we didn't want to burn their bridge and scare them. And the ones we did tell, we scared them away. So it was bad. So it was really hard. It was like, that's why we directly went like to the swinger community in the first place, is because we thought our friends were freaky. But when we were like, hey, we're really fucking freaky, like want to do some same room shit, it fucked everything up. So then we were just like, all right, let's like legit talk to swingers. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So you said this was roughly a couple of years, like 2 to 3 years into your
marriage. Yeah, into the marriage.
I was gonna say, how long have you been together or married? I guess
almost 10 years. We've been together 10 years and married 9.
Okay. So so this would have been in
like 2013, 14.
Yeah. Okay.
A while ago.
I mean, it's interesting too because you were in your mid-20s, and I think that also poses some issues of itself, right? A lot of the typical swinging crowd, I don't know that it always skews a little older, but I think the ones who you see more often do. I think it's starting to shift. But I guess, did you run into issues when you started looking together, like finding people your age, or were you just kind of open to whoever you could meet?
We scared our friends. We scared our friends, and then the ones that did say they were down with stuff would flake out. And it was weird because, like how I was saying, like how you were saying people say they're interested in it or not. It was like some of our friends would play like those Cards Against Humanity and be like, oh, we do something. And then we were like, okay, like, let's do something. And then they would like bounce. Or me, I would be flirty in a Starbucks or something. Or one time it was like randomly swimming. And then it was just, this lady gave me her number. And then I was like, hey, you're messing with fire. Like, I like you. And I think my wife will like you. She's like, that's totally fine. She was sending us like teasing pictures. And we were like, bring your ass over. She never came. And then she was like, oh, my boyfriend would want to be there. We were like, tell your boyfriend to come over. They never came. They stopped talking. So it was a lot of just like, we would try to like actually do something and then nothing would happen. And then when we met this one lady who was like, oh, join ITL, blah, 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 blah. Like my partner and I are longtime swingers. We really dig this shit. We'll show you the ropes. Then they really didn't show us the ropes. So we were like, what the fuck? So yeah, it was really awkward. The most fun we've had and the most times we've ever done anything swingerish, totally by chance. Totally didn't think it was happening. A friend stayed over and shit just happened like every time. It was really weird. Like, watching a movie, cooking. One time I didn't even feel good. Something like they were like nursing me back to health. I felt better. Then some freaky shit happened. Or like one time I was like doing some editing work and stuff and her friend came over. Something happened. Stuff like that. It was really weird. Nothing planned happened or nothing like where you say, let's have a date happen and then it organically went from there. It was totally like not trying, if that makes sense.
So how did you keep going, right? So like I think if a lot of people started trying to do this, I guess officially, right? And you run into roadblock after roadblock and nobody seems to work out, but it sounds like you kind of kept after it and then things started to happen on their own. How did it, so like how has the dynamic shifted over the last few years to like where you are today, and where are you today?
We're comfortable either way now. Now it's like, since we realized what when things happen, it happens. The most, I'm good at starting a flirting situation, but very bad closer at it. So if she likes that person's energy, she'll like talk to them more than me and then see where it goes. So usually it's just like very chill. And we don't really push anybody. And like now I'm way more like laid back in terms of couples energy. Like if I meet a couple or something, I really see if they're being like flirty and then like they're gonna back up or something like that. But honestly, we haven't really pursued it. We maintained our comfort level of what we like, but didn't pursue it. And the only way I was trying to actually communicate was through the book, if that makes sense. Like when we meet people, like we'll still kind of see if they're interested, but like way more calm. I think when I was younger, I was way more excited to be open about it, and I either scared them away or they got scared. Like you were saying, like some people, they want to try it, but then all these what ifs come up because it's hard. I understand the hard part about it too, because like it's your spouse. You have to mitigate risk. What if someone's bringing like, I don't know if this is a bad subject to bring, like STIs, things like that. That stuff comes to play. So even if you are finally comfortable with sleeping with somebody, then there's that risk that you're bringing something, you might bring something into the family where if you were like monogamous, you wouldn't. But so those things kind of come up. But like for she and I, it was more like, are we vetting these people properly? And then that was the thing too, when we were meeting these couples, we wanted to meet them for coffee and stuff so we could even vet them. Because like sometimes, I think, okay, maybe to back up a little bit, I grew up a little bit different than maybe a lot of you. So I grew up, and when I was in the military, some things were already hella freaky. Like a lot of same room shit goes down in different areas when you meet people. Like I grew up in New York, so like I did a lot of same room shit growing up. Like the whole couple swap, we didn't even know that was called couple swap. We would just kind of fuck. So it was just like I kind of grew up like that, and I kind of knew about nude beaches, and I kind of grew up free. So when I got married, some of it was already in me. So when I was bringing that to my wife, I had already kind of known what that felt like. So I wanted her to feel that energy, if that makes sense. And then when she did, I thought she'd be mad or jealous or angry when that first time happened, but it was fine. And then the second time happened, it was fine. So it's just like I was used to it from my past, and she was just being brought into it. But I wasn't married, so when I'm married, I guess I'm definitely more guarded than when I was young adult, 18, growing up in the military. I wasn't really, I mean, of course I was STI conscious and stuff, like, but I wasn't thinking about like, will I be bringing this to my partner, if that makes sense? Yeah. So we wanted to vet those people, am I over talking? If that makes sense?
No. So first off, STI conversation, totally fine to bring up. Actually, we encourage you to bring up. We can table that and come back to that in a minute. Second thing, I'm like hearing what you went through, at least a little bit. I'm very sorry that you experienced that, because it's really unfortunate when people try to enter, and get involved in that community and don't find where you fit in, and experience rejection and hard conversations. We're sorry that happened.
Yeah, and it's right. Like you look at it from the outside and you say, well, yeah, you were just trying to sell a book, right? But at the same time, there's still not a reason to not be welcoming to somebody and maybe explain like, hey, we'd love to have you into the community. Maybe this is a better way to approach it, whatever it is, rather than just kind of like ostracizing. And so, yeah.
Well, and it sounds like you guys, or both of you, had tried to meet people, like, because you referred to ITL, which is a swinger website.
Yeah, Into the Lifestyle was called.
Into the Lifestyle. And then you also you went to a couple of clubs, right? So you tried a few one. So you tried a couple of different avenues and didn't find any luck. And then you used those. Were you reaching out to people on ITL for the book as well?
No, so that ITL, we were on there for like 6 months. Those people never met us. Like they would say, oh, we're going to like this one beach. So we try to meet them. they didn't show. And then I would try to meet people at the rec beach, they didn't show. And then we were trying to meet them for coffee, they didn't show. So then I was like, okay, let's go to the club. And it was like a toga party. So wifey made the togas, we went to the club, and then that's when we met that person who was like, oh, we saw you online. Like, and it was the worst part about it was during the event, like we ended up in the room with her and another person. So then my wife was totally turned off because the lady was beautiful. My wife thought she was attractive. We approached her and her husband because they were attractive, and then we didn't understand that verbal smack. So then after that club incident, I deleted ITL and we stopped really talking to people, and we started trying to do it by ourselves and trying to like recruit our friends and make our own thing. And that really didn't work. Like, all our supposedly freaky friends weren't as freaky as we thought they were. And we were like, we'll make our own fucking like freaky posse and like whatever. And maybe don't try that. I don't know if it worked for you guys.
So then for the book, you were then reaching out to like people online, just like anybody you could find that might help.
Recently, yeah. So when I wrote the book, the first few stories, like the book started in a bunch of different ways. The freaky writing started just because I wrote a sci-fi first, and then my wife's friends told me I should publish that freaky stuff. Then the book was a dare based on like a Goodreads dare where it was like, write a double penetration story, blah, blah, blah. And the swinger story. And it was like the biggest dare ever. And I was just going to write like a sex story just for fun, but then I actually put my heart into it, which was the main message was pretty much, you don't want to do this journey by yourself. You want to like really be with your partner and do it. Like when people even ask myself, like, why do you talk to another girl? Why does your wife talk to this person? I don't say it's just because of me. I say, like, we want to talk to you. Like, I always say we, if that makes sense.
Well, you're in it as a team, right? You're in
together as a team, right? And then people sometimes don't understand that. And then, like, that's what I wanted to share is, like, you're doing this with your partner. And that's the cool part about it, too. It's like, if I want to do something or if I'm thinking of something, you know how they always say, like, communication is key. Like, I 100% stand on that because, like, everything crumbles if you can't talk to your partner. And then I noticed that's the first thing you asked me is, how did you even bring it up? Well, I was scared as fuck, and I found my different ways, and maybe people would view me as, like, being manipulative, but, like, I was scared as fuck. Like, how else was I supposed to, like, say that without, like, testing if I'm gonna get blown up by it? You know what I mean?
So how?
So, like,
so how? After things kind of didn't work out at the club really, and they didn't really work out on the dating websites. Since then, how have the two of you met other couples, or has it mostly just been sort of happenstance as you move through life together?
Yeah, most of the times it's not other couples. It's just the one-off lady friend, and those are usually just our friends that kind of knew we were like that. And like honestly, we're super quiet about it. So like if it happens, they had already known we were like that, and then that was on them. They were just like, hey, I'm over here, and it's like, okay, that'll happen. But like most of the time we don't even meet couples. We literally stopped trying because like we scared our friends, and trying to meet couples never worked. Because like I even on Facebook, like I would try to join like couple, like poly couple, what is those groups, those swinger groups and stuff like that. And it's just like one of the main ones I had joined, the host was the most toxic person there. She was like always saying something really negative about meeting couples. Like I didn't understand why she was the host. And then when I reached out to her, like, hey, I want to spread a message or whatever, she just pretty much said, like, you're not even a part of the community to spread this message.
So as you and your wife explored this, did you notice any shifts in your relationship, like either your communication or just, did you see things start to change between you once you sort of opened up about what you wanted and you learned that it was okay with her?
Yeah, way more comfortable, way more way more comfortable because like, even now I get nervous to say this. I felt trapped. It was weird. Like I felt trapped. I was like, I want to say something deeper than that, but all I can think of is that. But then I didn't want to do anything by myself. And that was the weirdest part of that trap was like, okay, because even give you an example, like sometimes I go on vacation, I'll go visit my mom or some shit like that. And she'd be like, you know, you can do whatever you want. That means absolutely nothing to me. She's like, oh, you can sleep with whoever over there in New York or wherever you go in Florida or whatever. Blind eye, deaf ears. Or I'll go out with my buddies in Vancouver and she'll be like, or Seattle, and she'll be like, if you see somebody and something happens, whatever, it means nothing to me. Literally nothing. I won't even move. Or if she goes out and she's like, you can go have a night out and do whatever. If your friend's over, you can do whatever. I'll play video games all night. I'm totally not interested if she's not interested.
Right.
100%. And the most I'll do by myself is if I'm like enticing and I'm like, come over, and then like see if she'll come over. And then if I'm failing at texting, I'll give her the phone and be like, hey, help me text her because I suck. That's it. Like, and if I'm up to no good and I started something by myself in Seattle, as soon as I get home, I'm like, hey, I'm up to no good. Horns out. Here's my phone. This is what I've been doing. I'm super evil. Would help me. Like, blah, blah. And like, she'll be like, okay, let's see what's going on. That's it. If she's not involved, I'm not interested. But if she wouldn't have been down, I felt trapped, and I have no idea. More like, I don't know. I say greedy or evil or whatever, but that was my emotion toward it and now that I say whatever I say and whatever and hear what she has to say or see her enthusiastic about like helping me, or if I see her own little horns, like sometimes she'll put me up to it too, like go talk to her. And then I see her get all red and stuff. We feel this joy. I feel this joy. I see her excitement and I'm just like, okay, cool. But I don't feel that if she's not interested. And if she says no, then it's fucking no. Like if she says no, I have second thoughts or weird feeling or whatever the fuck, I listen to her and that's it.
Would it be the same if the roles were reversed? Like if she goes out with her girlfriends, do you do the same and say like, hey, if you meet somebody, go for it? Or
I told her that, but she's never interested. Like, that's the weirdest thing too. Okay, so everyone calls me out on having a double standard, but it's the weirdest supposed double standard ever, because I'll say you could do whatever, but I feel something and I told her I would, but I'm like, I would have to work on that shit myself. But never interested in men. And I found that really, like, I was happy as hell because I was like, I don't know how I was going to handle that if she was. But when we went to that club that night, I was hella prepared for it because I was like, she let me do whatever I want. Just, it's her boundaries. We have to work through it. But her brain never goes to that. Like, so I asked her a million times, like, don't you want this? And she's like, no, I'm more interested in this. So I was like, good for me. And then I was uncomfortable because I was wondering if she was just doing it because she was worried about me. But like, I see her eyes glaze over, like when I try to point out guys too. So it wasn't just me. Cause I was like, oh, okay, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look, all these people, aren't they handsome? It's like honestly trying to like push my own boundaries out the way. And her eyes glaze over like, no, I'm not interested. And I was like, okay, look at her. She's like, very much so or no. So I was like, okay, cool. This is her, not me. So if we have to revisit, if she ever changed her mind, I would have to work on myself a lot. But no, honestly, that's some real shit. Like
yeah. But at least you're willing to acknowledge that would be your stuff to work through it. And you can work through it together too, but that's something that wouldn't necessarily just be her fault. And you would have to take some ownership over those feelings as well.
Yeah, I would have to own up to like what it is and talk to her about it or see how I feel about it. The funniest thing is I wrote that in my book and I pushed my own boundaries in the book about that, like how it would feel to push my own boundaries. And I wrote this whole thing where it's like that person's feeling joy that they feel on their own and you can share that joy. I wrote it, and in theory, it feels great when I wrote that, and I thought about it hard, and then I was like, how the hell would I ever accomplish this? I have no idea, but whenever it does come up, it just seems more like she's just on her own lane that way, which makes me way more chill.
Right. So when you played with couples, the few odd times it happened, there was never like her and you swapping with the other couple where it was just basically you two and another woman.
No, the couple thing really, the most that happened was all in that one night at the thing. The rest were just with girls on our own. The couple thing that happened was once that lady said that, we went to a couple of playrooms. We watched a few couples. We messed around a little bit, and they all watched us. And then the rest, nothing really with couples. If something happened with a couple, it was more like a make-out kiddie session, then they would run away. Like, if we were playing some game and they were all kissing, we would try to make more happen. Like, oh, touch her there, or do something, you want to watch us? And they would kind of, like, back out, and we were like, fuck, we're scaring all our friends. So most of everything couple we've ever done was just in that one night. And when we ended up in the same room with that one lady toward the end of the night, my wife was like, I want to leave.
Right.
So the rest was just, like, threesomes. And that, like, again, the full way of those threesomes happened without us doing anything. It was more like just the most random shit ever. Like, whenever we really tried, it never worked.
And I mean, I think in one sense, you know, it's unfortunate that it's happened like that, but I think it's kind of fun in the sense that you and her have come to a place where, you know, you're happy if it happens, but you're also, if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. And it's sort of like you're not monogamous, but it's by chance, and it's not something that you're sitting around like craving it every single day. It's the feeling you have now that you know that if it happens, it's okay, and you don't feel trapped anymore, but you also don't feel the need to go out like constantly searching for somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Like, for me, it just sometimes happens where I would think someone would be down, and then I kind of flirt, and like if the flirting goes more, that's when I show like, wifey, look, this is what I'm up to. But it usually doesn't lead to anything, so it's just more flirt texting. Because sometimes you'll never see that person again, or it just dies or whatever like that. But yeah, I don't feel trapped, and like you said, I don't really look for it. But it's that cool feeling of like, yeah, if someone's whatever like that, like if she sees somebody or I see somebody, at least I don't feel like, oh, I can't even look, or I can't try to talk to this person. And I also feel like she would back me up, which she has, because as brave as I seem right now, sometimes I'll kind of run away. Like if I see.
Well, and who knows? You know that your dynamic might change in the future, but at least you two are having those conversations, and you're willing to, you know, you may want to go out and give it a try again at a different club or a different website, and who knows? You might meet other people that you just click with too.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like that, honestly, just even meeting a couple who thinks like this. That toward the end, that's what we were literally saying was. The funniest part is, even if we didn't do anything, because like the STI thing, when we think about things like that, we would scare ourselves. Sometimes, like I said, like same room stuff. Like when we were at that club, that actually felt comfortable. Like it was like this giddy feeling. I guess you would know what I mean. Like there's this weird feeling of connection and primal like energy where you're just like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. Like seeing everyone, feeling everything, the sense, everything like that. It was just like, you get this, I guess I felt a charge. She just had this like smile, like, holy shit. I don't know. It would be cool. Like, even if we didn't always do something, like it would be cooler. Like if we had met people who think like that, like, oh, that's cool. Cause sometimes I noticed that we always feel like we're the raunchiest people, but like trapped being well behaved. Like we really have an inside secret playing Cards Against Humanity or some shit where it's just like do some freaky shit and we're just like look at each other like we want to say more, but now as we're older we just like fuck, don't say anything, we'll scare our friends again. which would be cool. Like if we played it with you guys like, yeah, we know what the fuck you're talking about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think even one way to satiate that too for people is, you touch on a little bit, but like if you go to the club as a couple, and even if you don't meet other people, just being in that environment, and the digital version of that is you're texting with somebody and you're flirting and it doesn't ever go anywhere, but even just those interactions that are well outside what would normally be allowed in a marriage or a relationship, oftentimes that's enough just to satiate the desire and the little fire, and then you can play off that between the two of you, and it doesn't have to be like everything ends in an orgy or we're not happy, and I think
yeah, a lot of it, yeah, especially like nowadays, like you said, digital age, you meet people, like if meeting you guys or something, or meeting people in far off corners, it might be really hard to ever meet you guys. So sometimes flirt texting and stuff, that's the coolest shit ever, because it's like same energy, same mindset, and it's totally cool. There's no jealousy, no rage, all of that, like those insecurities. Like when you ask how we feel, that's like the main thing that people don't get about us, and people probe, is don't you feel insecure if she's there, or don't you feel insecure if he's talking to someone? And my wife's like, why would I give a fuck? And then same with me. It's like that thought process doesn't cross my mind, or like you see it on your Twitter feed all the time, someone cheating on so-and-so, or somebody like blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes every so often you'll read the funniest one where it's like, why cheat when you can fuck that person together or talk to that person together? And that's the only thing that ever registers in my mind, is like, yeah, why cheat? Why don't you just say, hey, I like this person? But that's probably our mindset, because I don't feel like being shady or doing all this extra stuff when that doesn't even cross my mind to like be shady, or I never think she would hide something from me. I feel like it removes that whole concept of hiding that inner desire to want to talk to someone in the first place. That trust is there already.
Right. Well, and something else you touched on a few times, which was the safety aspect of it, and keeping yourselves healthy. When you two started discussing this, was that part of the discussion for you? Is how do we keep ourselves safe? How do we keep each other safe? And what are we going to do about that? And I guess, how did you approach it?
For sure, it was that I'm ultra like paranoid. Like she's paranoid about stuff, and I'm hella ultra paranoid about stuff. So like I think that's another reason why she trusts me too. Sometimes she'll even laugh, like, because like I remember like some of our relationship, I was in overseas in Japan, and I like went to Thailand and all this stuff, and like a lot of people are like, do you trust your husband? She's like, I don't even care. Like, he's too scared to do anything. I know where he's ziplining or petting some tiger or riding an elephant. He's nothing to do with any of that shit that those guys are probably doing. And then she was right, because I'm fucking scared. So like when things like that happen with our friend, it's actually kind of funny, because my wife's actually more territorial when it does come to friendships and lady friends and sleeping with them, where she doesn't want too close of a bond with them, because then she does feel awkward, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, I would rather know them a long time, and she doesn't want to in that way. So it's funny, because like I want to vet the shit out of someone. Like I want to know, like I don't like say give me your medical history, but I really want that complete warm and cozy. The safety aspect, like you said, like condoms you can deal with, but like if you're really getting into that scary zone, because like if you're dealing with oral of any kind, who's really bringing that what is that, dental dam barrier? Are you always doing that? Are you always running around with that? Probably not. If you're really deep kissing somebody, if you're really getting that far into it, what the fuck's really happening is you're gonna cross that line.
So how did you handle it then? I'm assuming
we just vetted them. Like that's the weirdest part too, is I think she knew I was paranoid, and then since it ended up really being our friends and nobody else, like all the flirting in the world never actually brought a stranger to us. Like it literally always was our friends that knew we were freaky for years anyway. And like that's why it was the funniest shit ever, because they had watched us try everything in the world and just were like, people even that said we'd never do that shit. And then it was just like that one fucking night, like being over there, it was like, oh, you guys are freaks. Or the last time was literally just like goofing off, talking shit, and it just turned hot and heavy. But it was like, that person knew us for years. I trusted them. My wife trusted them. And then of course condoms, and that was it. It was just like weird. So like, it was like, we never ended up in a situation where we were actually with strangers to actually then think about, does this person have anything in the first place? So it was like, I already knew this person, whole relationship, dating history, whatever, and never really was thinking like, oh, this person was going to make us sick or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it would be way different now, especially as we're getting older and stuff like that, where it would be like, I think now I'm actually, since everything has happened, I'm even more cautious, because it's a feedback loop. I wonder why they won't meet us. Are they hiding something? And now that I'm older, I really want to protect my wife, right? I really want to protect my life. So then it's like, why are they acting like that? And then it just becomes non-monogamy, completely fantasy world, where it's just like flirting and texting only, without even thinking, hey, I'll ever meet this person. Because we never think they're going to come. And two, then now I think I have a mental barrier.
Yeah.
And then the only time I've ever seen it work was not thinking it's going to happen in the first place. So it's really weird. So like meeting you guys now, I'm in a totally different headspace than I was back then, even a few years ago. Back then, a few years ago, I would have been trying to actually meet you guys head on. Like, hey, are you guys freaky? Are you this? Are you guys this? Let's get into this. I was very like, my pen name means open-minded wills, because I was head on into this shit. Fucking let's be nudists. Let's be freaky. Let's break the barriers. I had my own issues like this one that you guys are talking about, but I was thinking like, vet them, wear condoms, be as safe as possible. And in the club, I have to say this about that club. They're very all about protection and everything. It had nothing to do with that. So we felt safe with those people, even in that case. So it was just more vetting, communication, but then it ended up being just our friends who decided, let's share this thing with them. And then it wasn't even awkward. And then that worry was gone.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add a quick comment. So I think what you're circling around a little bit is, like the whole concept of STI and, getting something is very scary. Yes, that's totally right. It can be terrifying. But I think a lot of times the stigma around actually having something is way worse than the medical of actually going through what you have. Now, I'm saying this as someone who's not been through that. However, obviously it depends what you have in your medical history. But I just want to put it out there that it is something to be scared of, but it's also something that not to be so scared that you're afraid of having those conversations. And I'm not saying that you didn't have those conversations, but I just want to make sure that listeners understand that if you have been diagnosed with something and you've been treated and everything, like it's great, it's encouraged to have those conversations, because that's how you make the whole community safer, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I just wanted to put that in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, talking to your partner, talking to them. Yeah, for sure. Like that's a part of the vetting process, like why we wanted coffee, why we wanted to talk to them, to see their mindset, to see if they were comfortable with us, to see if they would open up to us.
Exactly.
It's like we wanted to open that communication of, who are you? What do you expect from us? What should we expect?
Well, and then everyone can make their own judgment about moving forward, right? And what levels of safety you want to take moving forward.
For sure. Exactly. For sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, is there
questions?
I don't have too many more. I guess I was just curious if there was any maybe final thoughts you wanted to leave us with, and if I don't think you've even said the name of the book yet, so maybe before we finish.
Yeah. Like, again, like, I'm weird. Like, okay, I'll just tell you guys. It's ERTA The Complete Series. I started it off, it's called Erotic Road Trip Adventures, but I took out the erotic for the complete series, so I just put ERTA. And it's just, so it's a sci-fi fantasy. It's a big merge of stuff in there, and it's actually a really serious book. Like, the relationship is completely real from the point of view of that couple, that Jay and Carmen, is literally like us as being a freaky couple that's kind of naive, but then wanting that kind of couple to break our boundaries, like push us. And I just took it into a sci-fi fantasy realm because you're writing, so you go for it, right? But and then the scenario is all about like couples that shouldn't be. So the two main characters in terms of the couples that were swingers are the wife is Lebanese and her husband's Israeli. So if you guys know about that war, you know that's not meant to be. And then they're swingers, completely taboo on the Lebanese side. And then Nate, his mom is like a high profile mom, so being a swinger, being bisexual, completely a no-no for him. And then Jay and Carmen, they're gangsters and they're fine, but they just needed to get pushed into the realm. And then the sci-fi stuff, I just put it in there. But I really made the characters well-rounded, and like you really get to see their struggle. Like Nate, like I was telling you, Nate's really rigid in terms of he wants Jay and Carmen to feel comfortable. And Raya wants him to feel comfortable too, but Raya had already a really good connection with Carmen, and Carmen vice versa. So Jay is the kind of guy who's very nervous and protective over Carmen, which would be me in terms of, as long as it doesn't hurt my wife, I don't really give a fuck. But if you're bi or you're doing something with the girl, as long as you're safe, I'm okay. And he's kind of like chill, but has a hard line in terms of, I don't really want to be with men. Nate wants to push his boundaries, but without like making him feel freaked out. And you can I just mush it all together. And
Awesome.
And is it a series of short stories, or are there more books coming out?
This is the full series of this series. So they start off on a road trip from Seattle, and Nate and Raya are going to Chicago, and Jay and Carmen were going to New York. Okay. And then they did. So I started off with Erotic Road Trips, book 1 and 2. I wrote those really quickly, and then when I made the third book, the final installment, it took me 2 years, and then I put it all together. And yeah, so they start off. Yeah.
Awesome. And anyone can find it on Amazon. We'll put the links in the show notes.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Yeah, anyone can find it on Amazon. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Paperback book. You guys are the best. Thank you. I wouldn't even say anything. I honestly want to be that author that hides. Like I said, if magic could work, I just subliminally tell you about the book, and I would just hide in the writer cave and write. But of course, you have to say something. So thank you for giving me that opportunity to say something.
No problem at all. Thank you again for sharing everything.
Yes.
And for sharing your story, sharing a little bit about your book. And I guess we wish you both, the best of luck in whatever way you decide to explore it. And we hope that things start to open up and people start to be a little more welcoming.
Yeah, we really hope so.
Thank you so much. Yeah. You guys are the first step to that. So thank you. Honestly.
Absolutely. Well, have a wonderful evening, and we'll be in touch.
Yes. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
And we're back.
Yeah, we are. I agree.
So, thanks to O.M. Wills for reaching out and sharing
and his pregnant wife. We got an update. Course. She's still very pregnant.
Yeah.
So, things are good. He mentioned early on that he wasn't supposed to be telling people she was pregnant yet. Everything's good.
Yeah. Well, because it was too early.
It was.
Yes. But things are great, and we're so happy that he reached out and we got to share his story.
So check out the book. Links are in the show notes. And what's happening next week?
Next week.
Wednesday. I tricked you.
I know.
I tricked you good.
You did trick me. That's a good job. Okay, Wednesday, 2 days from now, another episode. Woohoo! It's going to be Michelle and Orlando.
These are friends of ours.
They are. Well, you could say everyone we interview is a friend of ours.
Yeah, but most people are only friends after the interview. They were friends before the interview.
That's true. But we
met them at Desire.
We did. We met them at Desire. We have an awesome conversation. You only have to wait 2 days to hear it. So.
And this is another one where people reached out to us and said, "Hey, we'd love it if you would share some stories of people who have had to face what happens when they come back with a positive STI result."
Yep.
And spoiler alert, episode 78 is that episode. So a huge thank you in advance to Michelle and Orlando for sharing that, and we will thank them again next week, but something to look forward to.
Next week? You mean in 2 days?
Damn it.
Now it's my turn to trick you.
All right, let's go. We'll see everybody on Saturday at the foam party, and we will see you Wednesday for Michelle and Orlando.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
To me, ramble. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Shh. Cutting you off.